Black American parents of Reddit. Why do you name your kids weird names? I asked my mom this when I was 16, standing in our kitchen after another brutal day at school. A substitute teacher had spent 10 minutes butchering my name, Amara, before finally saying, "Can I just call you Amy?" The entire class laughed. 3 kids in the back row started making clicking sounds, mocking it like it was some alien language. One kid literally said, "Is that even English?" I came home, slammed my backpack down, and asked, "Mom, why couldn't you just name me Sarah or Jessica or literally anything normal?" "It's not weird," Mom said quietly, washing dishes without looking at me. "Then why do I have to spell it 5 times at Starbucks? Why does everyone act like it's so complicated? It's 5 letters, Mom. 5. Sarah's friend is named Tchaikovsky, and nobody gives her crap about it. But apparently Amara is too difficult for the human brain." Mom dried her hands slowly, then turned to face me. Her expression was something I'd never seen before. Sad, but also angry. "Come with me." She led me down to the basement, which we barely used except for storage and Christmas decorations. She pulled out this old cardboard box from behind the water heater. Yellowed tape, corners falling apart, smelled like dust and old paper. Inside were documents I'd never seen before. Voter registration forms from the 1960s with my grandmother's name crossed out in angry red ink and replaced with Jane Smith. "Your grandmother's real name was Aminata," Mom said, her voice shaking slightly. "Aminata O.C. When she tried to register to vote in Montgomery, Alabama in 1963, the white clerk told her that name was too African and unpronounceable. Said it would confuse the ballot counters and slow down the voting process. She showed me the form. Someone had written in the margin in harsh, slanted handwriting, "Rejected. Improper name documentation. Resubmit with American name." They wouldn't process her paperwork until she legally changed it to something they approved. So she became Jane Smith, the most forgettable, erasable name they could think of. She had to pay $15 to change it. That was a week's wages back then. Mom pulled out more documents. A job application from 1958 where my great-aunt's name, Ike, was literally whited out. You could see the correction fluid caked on, and replaced with Eve in different handwriting. A letter from a hospital in 1955 refusing to admit my great-grandmother because the admitting nurse claimed Abani wasn't a Christian name, and therefore couldn't be real. They made her wait in the parking lot for 6 hours until a black doctor arrived who could verify her identity. "For 3 generations," Mom said, spreading the papers across the concrete floor like evidence at a crime scene, "they told us our names weren't good enough, that we needed to sound normal to get jobs, to vote, to receive medical care, to be treated like actual human beings." My mother spent 40 years responding to Jane even though it wasn't her name. She'd flinch every single time someone said it. Every single time. I picked up my grandmother's original birth certificate from 1944. There it was in beautiful, careful handwriting. Aminata O.C., born in Georgia. The ink had faded to brown, but you could still read every letter perfectly. "When I got pregnant with you," Mom continued, sitting down on the basement steps, "your father and I had this huge fight. He wanted to name you Michelle or Ashley. Something safe that wouldn't get your resume thrown in the trash. Something that wouldn't make teachers stumble. But I kept thinking about my mother. How she died in 2009, never hearing her real name called in a doctor's office. How she had to introduce herself as Jane at her own father's funeral because that's what her driver's license said. How she whispered Aminata to herself sometimes when she thought nobody was listening." Mom's eyes were wet now, reflecting the single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. "So when you were born, I looked at you, 7 pounds, 3 ounces, screaming your head off, and I named you Amara. It means grace in Igbo. And I decided right then, holding you in that hospital room, nobody was ever going to make you ashamed of it. Nobody was going to tell you it was too complicated or too different or too anything. Not on my watch." The next day at school, that same substitute messed up my name again during attendance. Ra. But this time, when she asked if she could just call me Amy, I thought about my grandmother Aminata becoming Jane. I said, "No, it's Amara. 3 syllables, like mama with Ra at the end. Try it." She blinked, surprised. Amara. "There you go. Not that hard." The classroom went quiet. After class, one of the kids who'd been mocking me, this white kid named Connor, came up and said, "That was kind of badass. And actually, Amara's a cool name. What's it mean?" I told him, and for the first time, I finally understood. My name isn't weird, it's ours. And 3 generations of my family fought too hard for me to keep it for me to let some substitute teacher erase it with Amy.